Greetings, I'm Mark with Unlimited Story, unlimited-story.com, a channel dedicated to writing, world building, marketing, and most importantly, getting things done. But really, it is about Kindle Vella, and in this video, that is no exception, as I do another video, another story on Kindle Vella. If you want to support this channel and the things I do, check out my stuff on Kindle or Kindle Vella. Information, description below. I would never let you down. I would never give you up. I would never... That sounds familiar. Anyway, never mind. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing Dead Victorians by Coons. This is the third installment of this author's work, and I gotta say, this one's definitely my favorite. It's just, it's wild. So, what do we got going on in here? Well, here's the description. A new cult just arrived, as opposed to an old cult. Anyway, a new cult just arrived on the outskirts of town. These outsiders are selling their wares and opening antique stores seemingly overnight. But what exactly are they selling? Terrifying events begin to occur in the remote Oregon town of Hacksaw Ridge. Interesting name. Could the strangers be responsible, or is it something more diabolical? After all, everyone knows evil can lurk behind those serious faces in a creepy Victorian photo. Something evil indeed has just come to town. All right, what's our description, or sorry, tags? Supernatural, otherworldly, mystery, dead people, action, adventure, haunting, spirits, and this picture is a Victorian family. And it's old, so I'm assuming they're dead. Right, so it's just going real well with the cover. All right, title. Jeez, what's wrong with me? All right, let's get started. I have read the first 3 of Dead Victorians, and I gotta say, this story, out of all the stories, is my favorite, just because there's so much going on. There are tons of characters, there's abilities, there's just, I don't know, there just seems to be a lot of world building going on. So let's get into it. Episode number 1 really is an exposition machine and kind of a rant. So the main character, we find out his name, Mel McGee, she hates antique stores. Now, I love this because I hate antique stores too. And she goes out and just starts just running her mouth about how much she hates them and the people who are staying out. So let me get some quotes. They smell mustier than the crap they are trying to cram down our throat. They're day gypsies setting up those shops to peddle their wares, and they're invading my perfectly good town. I just love it, because for some reason these gypsy antique shop owners, whatever, they basically just appear in town. They're like sprinkling their antique stores all over town. Like, they have too many for the size of the town. So whatever. And that's it. That's all episode number 1 is. So we're moving on to episode number 2, where we actually start talking, or actually start learning about the main character. So main character is Mel McGee. She is one of 3, so she is a triplet, and all 3 of her little triplet sisters have these kind of extra powers. They have like mental powers. So I don't really remember what Mel is, but her sister, one of them, is like a prophet. She has like dreams that come true, but they all have powers within that realm. It's just each one's a little bit stronger in certain areas. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. What actually happens? Okay. Actually, there's more. There's just more about Mel. She goes to AA meetings. So she was an alcoholic at some point. She also has leukemia, or had leukemia, and she got that taken care of. So she's just had a life, and some of this stuff has caused her powers to get heightened over the course of time. All right, what else have my notes got? Oh, and Mel died once. She died. And then she came back. So her powers are like doing great, whatever they were. So, she's probably going to be using them for this story. Okay, so actually, moving on, she is meeting up with her sister. So her sister, Molly, the one who has dream powers, she is a cook, a really good one, and she runs the only restaurant in town. Well, apparently there's another one that's getting set up, but Molly is the one who's run the main place in town. And apparently the cop in town also has a crush on her. She has a crush on the cop, something like that. There's like a little pseudo romance. So they start talking about this little cult in the antique shops. So now we're really starting to find out what's going on in the town. And I forgot, the other sister's there too. I don't remember her name, but she's there, and she's not as close with the other sisters. Like Mel, the main character, and Molly are a little bit tighter than this other one, she's not around as much and not as connected. All right, getting back on track. They're talking in town about what's going on, the antique shops, complaining about that, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, there's a funeral home. They're setting up a funeral home in this tiny little town. So apparently enough people are dying, or going to be dying. Probably going to be a lot of people dying. And also there's a couple that, they knew. They're missing. So they're probably dying. These culty people are doing some creepy stuff. So they're like, okay, well, let's talk to the cop. The cop that Molly has a crush on, or some romance is going to be happening with that. And he basically enters the shop, and that's where it gets started. There's also a few other things like, they kind of helped him solve some crimes and stuff, because again, they have these like magical power. No, I shouldn't say magical powers. They have these powers that allow them to sense things or determine things. So yeah, that's what's going on. Story's about to get started. Or I mean, like all the pins are set up, all the pieces and parts are there, and now the story is basically just gonna get kicked off. So there you go. That's the first 3 of Dead Victorians. My one sentence summary: the triplets gonna stop the antique shops, I hope, because they sound just weird. I mean, you don't meet any of them. Like, they set up like a camp or something like that. I don't even remember the person's name. He's from India. I can't pronounce it well. And he has a following, and they're doing this religion in their community outside of town. All right, anyway, that is it for the Dead Victorians. If you like this kind of stuff, consider subscribing, or at least watch another video that YouTube recommends. If you're an author and you want to have your stuff reviewed by me, or whatever I call this these days, just hit me up on Yield, the Discord. Information in the description below. Again, I would never let you down. Never give you up. Something like that. Right. Cool. Peace.